Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle and this is a tag video. I've got a bunch of tag videos that I've got to catch up on actually. So this is the leap year book tag. Don't laugh, I know, I am really far behind. I was tagged in this video by Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures. Thank you very much for tagging me, Berna. And most people who did this tag actually did it on Leap Day. But March was already scheduled for me. I was doing a video a day for March Mystery Madness, and so I've decided it's still technically a leap year, so I'm going to do the tag because it was just fun. It had some great questions. So thank you, Berna, for tagging me. This tag was created by Melted Books and Amy Myers. So let's get right into it. Question number 1, an extra day. What is one book that brought a little something extra? And I had to go with an instance of The Fingerpost here by Iain Pears. I read this book in March. It is huge. It is almost 700 pages long, but it is so good. So the reason I say this for a little something extra is because it's a historical mystery, and it's definitely that. But the little something extra is in the structure of this book. It is narrated by 4 different narrators. Each narrator gets their section. So you get them 1, 2, 3, 4. And through each narrator you get more of the story. But the brilliance of this structure is in how Iain Pears chooses his narrators and the order he puts them in. Because each narrator has their own purpose in the story, has the thing that's important to them that's going on. But of course, the reader's experience of the story is through the narrator, and so to have our understanding of what's happening play out through each of the different narrators, that's what I found was the little something extra in this book. It was so good. So if you've never read an instance of The Fingerpost, I highly recommend it. Question number 2, taking a big leap. What is one book that you are afraid to read? Now, I'm not necessarily afraid to read any book, but a book that I find daunting for sure is The Sunne and Splendour by Sharon K. Penman, because 1, it is huge. For a fiction book, it is really big. It's over 900 pages. It's 927 pages, and so it's just like to keep my attention, I think, and to get through the story in a reasonable amount of time. It's just really long, but it's also a historical fiction, which can be a little bit daunting. I don't know a ton about this time period, and so I feel like, you know, it's just going to be something a little bit, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here. Anyway, it is a fascinating portrait of the controversial King Richard III, a monarch betrayed in life by his allies and betrayed in death by history. So I'm very interested in this book, but I do find it a little bit daunting. Question number 3, every 4 years, what is the 4th book you read this year? And that would be Agatha Christie, First Lady of Crime, edited by H.R.F. Keating. I got this book from the library, and I will put a picture of it in now. This book was from 1977, and each chapter is written by a different mystery author and saying something about Agatha Christie, about how she wrote her books or how she promoted her books, or so I mean it was just basically, it was just a nod to Agatha Christie. It was posted the year after, it was published the year after she died. So it was just kind of one of those in honor of type of books, and it was okay. Question number 4, 366 days in a year. Looking at your 3rd shelf, name the 6th book on that shelf, and name the 6th book after that. So I used this shelf behind me just to choose. And so I went from the top, and the 3rd shelf down, 6th book in was Rudyard Kipling's Gunga and Other Favorite Poems I've never read this. I really am not interested in poetry at all. This is my husband's book. He got it from his grandpa, and his grandpa was a man who loved poetry and he loved reciting poetry. So my husband has great memories of his grandpa quoting lines from Gunga. And then the sixth book after that was Simenon's The Suspect, and I don't think I have read this one before. This is one of his that is not a Marais, but yeah, that was the sixth one after that. Question number 5, leaping ahead. Name 4 books you want to read by the next leap year. So I have quite a little collection here. Now this book I could have also chosen as one that I am afraid to read. This is Peter Ackroyd's London, the Biography. It is massive. It is, yeah, 780 pages. So the funny thing is this one's technically bigger, but this one seems bigger. I don't understand. Anyways, so I really enjoy Peter Ackroyd's writing, and I want to get to this. I did start this, but oh, here you go. I've got my bookmark in chapter 3. I put it down, and then it was just one of those things I just never got back to. I enjoy his writing, and I enjoy how he's choosing to write the history of London as a biography. I find that fascinating. So I just need to get to it. Yeah, and so hopefully within the next 4 years I can get to it. So in his introduction he writes, "The image of London as a human body is striking and singular. We may trace it from the pictorial emblems of the city of God, the mystical body in which Jesus Christ represents its head and the citizens its other members. London has also been envisaged in the form of a young man with his arms outstretched in a gesture of liberation. The figure is taken from a Roman bronze, but it embodies the energy and exultation of a city continually expanding in great waves of progress and of confidence. Here might be found the heart of London beating warm." So, the readers of this book must wander and wonder. They may become lost upon the way, they may experience moments of uncertainty, and on occasions strange fantasies or theories may bewilder them. On certain streets, various eccentric or vulnerable people will pause beside them, pleading for attention. There will be anomalies and contradictions. London is so large and so wild that it contains no less than everything, just as there will be irresolutions and ambiguities. But there will also be moments of revelation, when the city will be seen to harbor the secrets of the human world. Then it is wise to bow down before the immensity. So we set off in anticipation, with the milestone pointing ahead of us to London. So yeah, I would definitely like to get through this before the next leap year. Another one that I would like to get to is, this is a newer one in my collection, Elizabeth Spymaster by Robert Hutchinson. Francis Walsingham and the Secret War That Saved England. I love history, and I particularly love Elizabethan history, and so this one just sounds really interesting. Then these next two are fascinating to me. So in February I went to Moose Jaw with some friends of mine. We went to, there's a spa there, like a natural spring kind of spa, and we just shopped a bit and had lunch. It was a fun day out. But there's a secondhand bookstore in Moose Jaw that I visited while I was there, and I found Paris in the Terror, June 1793 to July 1794 by Stanley Loomis. And this book was published in the 60s, I believe 64. Hang on, yes, 1964. And I really enjoy, like I've already said, I really enjoy history, and I am fascinated by the French Revolution, the Terror. That time period is so very interesting. And I'm just going to show you the, I'm going to take off the book jacket. You probably can't see it, but there's a cool little thing embossed. Is that the word? It's like a tree, and it says 1792. So he's telling the story of the Terror in a unique way, which I found very interesting. Paris in the Terror tells the story of the Reign of Terror in terms of the chief performers in that particularly bloody phase of the French Revolution: Marais, Charlotte Corday, Danton, and Mademoiselle Roland, Robespierre, Camille Desmoulins, and Fouché. Their very names recall the tumbrils, the batches of condemned prisoners, the guillotine, yet their lives and their roles in the revolution are not generally familiar. They are, all of them, powerful personalities, and Stanley Loomis's intimate study of them and their contributions to the Terror is of utmost fascination. The handsome and aristocratic young woman from Normandy, Marie Charlotte de Corday, was typical of the early idealistic phase of the revolution, and her murder of Marais as he sat in his bath climaxes the first section of the book. The middle part follows the careers of the ambitious, egocentric Mademoiselle Roland and the likable Rabelaisian figure Danton, whose mistakes put Robespierre in power and himself on the guillotine. The final section recreates the Great Terror, the 4 months when Robespierre, cruel, sexless, and preoccupied with virtue, and his chief henchman Saint-Just, the handsome angel of death, reigned over mass butchery, the like of which was not to be seen again until Stalin's Russia and Hitler's Germany. Stanley Loomis keeps his eye constantly on the human characters and the human drama. Consequently, the book is intensely personal and intensely alive. As a brilliantly organized history of a complicated period, as biography, as social history, for we learn as much about the everyday life of Parisians under the Terror as about the politicians. Paris in the Terror is superb. But then I also found, while I was hunting around, this book, The Terror, The Shadow of the Guillotine, France, 1792 to 1794. And I had forgotten that I'd picked this one up. I can't remember when I got this one. It's by Graeme, Fife. And so obviously I have an interest in that time period. And so I checked in the index, and he does refer to this book by Stanley Loomis in this book, which I find so fascinating. So this one was published in 2004. So this exhaustively researched, character-driven chronicle of revolutionary terror, its victims, and the young men, energetic, idealistic, and sincere, who turned the French Republic into a slaughterhouse. 1792 found the newborn republic threatened from all sides. The British blockaded the coasts, continental armies poured over the frontiers, and the provinces verged on open revolt. Paranoia simmering in the capital, the revolution slipped under control of a powerful clique and its fanatical political organization, the Jacobin Club. For 2 years, this faction, obsessed with patriotism and purity, self-appointed to define both, inflicted on their countrymen a reign of terror unsurpassed until Stalin's Russia. It was the time dominated by Maximilien Robespierre, Georges Danton, Jean-Paul Marais, and Louis-Antoine Saint-Just, called the Angel of Death, when Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette met their ends, when any hint of dissent was ruthlessly quashed by the state. It was the time of the guillotine, neighborhood informants, and mob justice. This extraordinary, bloodthirsty period comes vividly to life in Graeme Fife's new book. Drawing on contemporary police files, eyewitness accounts, directives from the sinister Committee for Public Safety, and heart-wrenching last letters from prisoners awaiting execution, the author brilliantly recreates the psychotic atmosphere of that time. So I'm actually very interested in reading these books close together and comparing the two and using the two just to see how one affects the other. So those are the 4 books that I would like to read before the next leap year. Question number 6, leapfrog. Name a book on your TBR that has green in it. So this is from my library stash TBR, Hum If You Don't Know the Words by Bianca Marais. This is set in South Africa during apartheid. 7, bad luck. What bookish things do you steer clear from? And I guess bookish things could mean a lot of different things, you know, like I steer clear from folding down the pages. I always use a bookmark or something to keep track of where I am. I don't write in books. I don't even really write in my own books, but I definitely don't write in library books. I've seen that so often, and I don't understand why people write in books that are not their own. I don't get that at all. As far as certain genres, I generally steer clear of horror, romance, and westerns. And as I said earlier, poetry. I just don't have an interest in any of those, so I kind of steer clear from them. And then the 8th question is to tag 4 friends. I'm a little late to the show here, and most people have done this tag already. So I'm just going to say, if this tag sounds interesting to you and you haven't done it before, then I'm tagging you. So thank you, Berna, for tagging me. This was a fun tag to do and a good excuse to hunt through my books. I love looking through my bookshelves, so this was a great excuse to do that. And I'll see you for another video soon. Bye!